Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Coming up in the next hour, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and UK counterpart Keir Starmer agree on early conclusion of free trade agreement. Starmer holds first cabinet meeting at 10 Downing Street. Reformist Pezeshkian, elected Iran's president, promises economic revival and pragmatic foreign policy. India-Russia joint venture delivers 35,000 AK-203 assault rifles to the Indian Army. Defence facility in Amethi town now fully equipped for large-scale manufacturing of rifles. And in Euro 2024, England to head into quarterfinals against Switzerland. Under pressure after yet another dire performance. Hit top form Netherlands and Turkey to go up against each other later tonight. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with his British counterpart Keir Starmer on Saturday and congratulated him on being elected as the new Prime Minister of the UK. Both leaders recalled the historic relations between the two countries and reaffirmed their commitment to further deepen and advance the comprehensive strategic partnership between India and the UK. The two leaders agreed to work towards early conclusion of a mutually beneficial India-UK free trade agreement, appreciating the positive contributions of the Indian community in the social, economic and political development of the UK. The two sides agreed to continue to promote close people-to-people ties. PM Modi also extended an invitation to Prime Minister Starmer for an early visit to India. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is chairing his first cabinet meeting following the UK elections, where his Labour Party secured a landslide victory. Keir got straight to work on Friday as he met King Charles and was formally named Prime Minister. Assembling the country's first Labour cabinet in 14 years, Prime Minister Starmer confirmed Rachel Reeves as Britain's first woman Chancellor and Angela Rayner as Deputy Prime Minister. He pledged action to fix the country, not just words, and said improvements would take time. The centre-left Labour won a massive majority in the 650-seat Parliament. And DD India's Ollie Bharat joins us live from London for more. Ollie, Prime Minister Keir Starmer is holding his first cabinet meeting. What are likely to be the priorities?
Shubhendu, the reason that this cabinet meeting is being held is, in the government's words, to look at the first steps that the government can take having come to power. And Keir Starmer has always stressed throughout the election campaign, but before that as well, that he had a team working to make sure that if he was elected Prime Minister and Labour were elected to government, that they could get underway with government business from day one, rather than having to ramp up operations over a period of time. So all of the government ministers, the new government ministers assembled round that cabinet table, will be tasked with making sure that their immediate priorities can be worked on from day one. One of the key areas of focus will be the economy, and the new Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, is tasked with making sure that economic growth can return to the UK economy. The health service is going to be a key focus. The new Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, said that the health department needed to accept that the NHS, the National Health Service, is broken, in his words, and view it in that way as the new government minister and his team get to work on it. So, as I say, a real attempt to make sure that the government can hit the ground running from day one. We also will have a press conference from the Prime Minister later, and that is an attempt, according to government Labour sources, to show that this is a government that is slightly different in tone from previous administrations and is accountable in a way that certainly Labour believe that some previous government administrations have not been.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Starmer held a brief conversation. They discussed the Free Trade Agreement FTA. If you could put in perspective the importance of this agreement for the two sides.
Certainly from a UK perspective, Shubhendu, it's viewed as a very important trade deal to try and do. And the previous Conservative government was working very hard to try and get it done. But the election came too soon in both countries and talks had to be put on hold. Labour is optimistic that it can reach an agreement with India, and it wants to. Part of that is because the UK's economy is very reliant on its services sector, and it would love to see more access to the Indian economy for its services sector. It would like to see lower tariffs for things like whiskey and cars, which are key products made here in the UK. From the Indian side, there have been discussions about opening up visa access, about making it easier for Indian companies to send and process workers who are coming to the United Kingdom, concerns around national insurance payments for people from India who are here on visas. Two large economies, therefore, if they could open up to each other more, it could mean benefits for both economies. From the UK perspective as well, it's worth viewing this through a post-Brexit prism. That's a slightly different focus with a new Labour government than it was for a Conservative government that delivered Brexit, but nonetheless, with Labour not attempting to take Britain back into the European Union, these trade deals with countries the size of India and the economy the size of India are very important in a post-Brexit world.
Ali, thank you for those updates. France will head to legislative runoff election on Sunday as voters face uncertain political future. The leading far right is unsure to garner enough National Assembly seats for an absolute majority, which can result in a political deadlock. Marine Le Pen's Eurosceptic anti-immigration national rally topped the parliamentary election's first round, opening the prospect of the far right leading a French government for the first time since World War II. Whereas striving to impede the far right, France's political parties have scrambled to form alliances. Earlier, French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal and Culture Minister Rachida Dati joined a presidential party candidate on last day of campaigning on Friday to drum up support ahead of the cliffhanger runoff. Parties across the political spectrum urge French voters to vote massively on Sunday.
The difference between us and the others is that we are not ready to promise everything and anything to be elected. If you listen to the opposition parties, we could reduce all the VAT rates, remove taxes, raise all spending, and do it all like magic. But in reality, these are lies. They are lying to the French. The day after will be terrible. Let me tell you, we are proposing a program that is credible, serious and ambitious for the French.
The far-right National Rally is said to be the biggest party in the French Parliament based on polls ahead of the second round of general elections on Sunday. If they win an outright majority, France would have its first far-right government since the Second World War. But rival parties on the left and the centre are hoping their voters come together to block the National Rally's path to power. DD India correspondent Ross Cullen reports.
France is in uncharted territory. Following the first round of the snap general election, the far-right National Rally Party is now the dominant political force in the country, even if they do not secure an outright majority in the upcoming second round. Jordan Bardella, who is of Italian and Algerian descent, represents the new face of the National Rally. He's 28 years old, was raised by a single mother and is popular on TikTok. But for Jordan Bardella to be Prime Minister, in the event that the far right wins an absolute majority, there would have to be a so-called cohabitation agreement of power sharing between him and the anti-far right centrist President Macron. And Emmanuel Macron's once powerful Renaissance party is fading from view, projected to come third in the second and final vote. The leftist coalition, the New Popular Front, came second in the first round of voting. Its politicians have ambitions of their own for the runoffs. Despite four parties jostling for space under one umbrella, the alliance aims to create an upset, win a majority and install a left-wing prime minister. Although the financial markets rallied after the first-round election results pointed towards a hung parliament, the political climate in France remains tense, with the potential for anti-nationalist demonstrations if the far right do take power. Ross Cullen in Paris reporting for DD India.
Moving on, in Iran, the low-profile moderate Masoud Pezeshkian has won the country's runoff presidential vote. Pezeshkian defeated hardline Saeed Jalili in Friday's second-round presidential vote. The runoff on July 5th followed a June 28th ballot with historically low turnout, when over 60% of Iranian voters abstained from snap election for a successor to Ibrahim Raisi, following his death in a helicopter crash.
Pezeshkian, the 69-year-old cardiac surgeon, has pledged to promote a pragmatic foreign policy, ease tensions over now stalled negotiations with major powers to revive a 2015 nuclear pact and improve prospects for social liberalization and political pluralism. He managed to win with a constituency whose core was believed to be the urban middle class and young.
The total number of votes from within and outside the country is 30 million in the following order. Mr. Masoud Pezeshkian had 16,384,403 votes, and Mr. Saeed Jalili had 13,538,179 votes. Based on this, Mr. Masoud Pezeshkian is introduced as the elected person of the 14th round of the Islamic Republic of Iran's presidential election.
Pezeshkian's views offer a contrast to those of Raisi, a Khomeini protege who took a tough stance in now moribund negotiations with major powers to revive the nuclear deal. Pezeshkian has vowed to revive the flagging economy beset by mismanagement, corruption and US sanctions. However, under Iran's dual system of clerical and republican rule, the power to shape key state policies, including foreign and nuclear affairs, ultimately rests with Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the nation's 85-year-old supreme leader, who is the final authority on top matters of the state. In TV debates and interviews, Pezeshkian too has promised not to contest Khamenei's policies. While the result is expected to have little impact on Iran's policies, the president will be closely involved in selecting the successor to Khamenei. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated Masoud Pezeshkian on being elected as the President of Iran. Prime Minister posted on X, and I quote, "Congratulations Masoud Pezeshkian on your election as the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Looking forward to working closely with you to further strengthen our warm and long-standing bilateral relationship for the benefit of our peoples and the region." In Nepal, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal will seek a vote of confidence in the House of Representatives on July 12th. Last few days have been stressful for the Nepalese government as CPN-UML, the largest party in the Dahal government, withdrew its support on Wednesday following a deal with Nepali Congress to form a new coalition. While on Friday, Janata Samajwadi Party, JSP, withdrew its support from the government. If the Prime Minister fails to win the vote of confidence on July 12th, he will have to resign. Due to frequent changes in the ruling coalition, it will be Dahal's fifth floor test after being appointed Prime Minister on December 25th, 2022. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Truce talks between Israel and Hamas gain momentum. Russia carries out group strikes against Ukraine. US will send more than 80 of its newest and most advanced fighter jets to Japan as part of modernization plan.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Efforts to secure a ceasefire in Gaza have gained momentum after Hamas accepted a US proposal to begin talks on releasing Israeli hostages, while Israel says negotiations for truce would continue into next week. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said the head of Mossad intelligence agency has returned from Doha after an initial meeting with Qatari mediators, adding that negotiations will resume next week. Netanyahu, however, asserted that there were still gaps between the two sides. Moving on, Russia on Saturday claimed to have taken control of the village of Sokil in Donetsk region of Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russian Defense Ministry has said forces carried out group strikes with high-precision weapons and attacked unmanned aerial vehicles on airfields, energy facilities and fuel storage facilities over the past week. It added Russian troops continue to advance on the front lines, taking control of several settlements in the Kharkiv region and Donetsk region, while Ukraine says its forces repelled multiple attacks as Russian army continues to intensify its offensive operations. In Pokrovsk, Ukrainian forces repelled 17 Russian attacks. And DD India's Dasha Cherneshova joins us live from Moscow. Dasha, if you could take us through the details of the Russian strikes against Ukraine and the advances in the Kharkiv and Donetsk region.
Well, indeed, the recent development on the Donetsk direction is they taking over the Russian control of the town of Sokol. We understand this move is improving the combat positions of the Russian armed forces. Earlier this week, the Russian Ministry of Defense has reported taking control over one of the districts of Chasiv Yar, another key location in this direction. And also, we have heard that the Russian military have been improving their positions on the Kharkiv direction, where Russia is trying to create the so-called sanitary zone or the buffer zone, which will prevent the Ukrainian armed forces from striking deeper inside Russia, especially border regions of Belgorod, Bryansk and Kursk that have seen repeated shelling over the course of the past months. We also have heard that the Russian Ministry of Defense is saying that 23 group strikes with high-precision weapons have been carried out over the course of the past week. All those strikes are intended to decrease the military potential of the Ukrainian armed forces to destroy the places where they store the weapons that have been supplied from the West and to destroy the military infrastructure of Ukraine.
Dasha, any new development on the possible ceasefire talks or proposals?
Well, the recent statements have come from the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, who said that it's been 3 weeks since Russian President Vladimir Putin outlined his conditions for ceasefire, which is the full withdrawal of the Ukrainian armed forces from the 4 regions which Russia now claims as its own: Lugansk and Donetsk People's Republic, Kherson and Zaporizhia regions. So far, no Western politicians have reached out to Moscow on that. At the same time, the Russian president held talks talks with the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban in Moscow on Friday, in which he also outlined the Russian position very clearly. There will be no ceasefire unless Ukraine is willing to engage into substantiative negotiations, because otherwise Moscow says that Ukraine will be using any lull, any pause in the fighting as an attempt, as an attempt, and also as the time to rearm instead of actually trying to find a lasting solution to the conflict in Ukraine. So at this stage, as the West continues its support of Ukraine, as Ukraine is not interested in actually meeting the Russian demands on the forces withdrawal, Russia says that ceasefire is not possible.
Dasha, appreciate you joining us with those inputs. The US says it will send more than 80 of its newest, most advanced fighter jets to Japan as part of a $10 billion modernization plan. The upgrade comes amid growing tensions in the region. Tony Waterman has more.
The Pentagon says it will deploy 36 F-15EXs and 48 F-35A aircraft at different bases in Japan. These are some of the most advanced fighter jets, not only in the U.S. arsenal, but in the world. The F-15EX has several superpowers. It is the fastest fighter jet in the world, and it can carry more missiles, up to 12 advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles. And those missiles can be fired accurately from a much further distance, helping to keep the jets undetectable and also the pilots safe. This transition to Japan, though, won't take place overnight. The Defense Department says it will take several years to rotate these fighter jets in, but officials say it's meant to bolster regional deterrence and strengthen peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. Now, no country was named in the announcement, but experts say this upgrade is meant to send a message to China, Russia, and North Korea. Japan is locked in territorial disputes with Russia in the north and China in the East China Sea. North Korea has fired ballistic missiles over Japan and is stockpiling weapons. And Japan's southern island of Okinawa is only about 700 kilometers from Taiwan, which Beijing has said it wants to reunite with the mainland, even by force. Now, the U.S. maintains a very large presence in Japan. Roughly 54,000 military personnel are stationed there, which is the highest number of any overseas placements. Tony Waterman in Austin, Texas, reporting for DD India.
Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden has dismissed concerns about his re-election bid in November, calling his presidential debate against Trump a bad episode. Biden made the remarks in a television interview on Friday. He noted that his shaky performance was due to poor preparation, exhaustion, and illness.
It was a bad episode. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted. I didn't listen to my instincts in terms of preparing, and I had a bad night.
Further, Biden asserts that he was the best candidate to take on Donald Trump, insisting that only Lord Almighty could persuade him to exit this race.
I convinced myself of two things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him, and I know how to get things done. Well, yeah, sure. Look, I mean, if the Lord Almighty came down and said, Joe, get out of the race, I'll get out of the race. The Lord Almighty's not coming down.
Joe Biden's comments came after his Democratic Party leaders urged him to step down amidst low approval ratings. Meanwhile, a delegation of Democratic governors met Joe Biden following last week's debate performance that raised concerns about the US president's mental fitness. Among them was California Governor Gavin Newsom, a longtime ally of the president. While Newsom's team says California governor was there to stand with Biden, he's also seen as a possible replacement. DD India correspondent Ira Spitzer reports from San Francisco.
With simmering concerns over Joe Biden's lackluster debate performance, speculation continues to grow on who might step in if the 81-year-old president bows out of his re-election bid, even though he insists he won't.
To the state of
One candidate often mentioned is California Governor Gavin Newsom, who's made a name for himself with his fierce criticism of Republicans like former President Donald Trump.
The governor and his team have positioned himself as a national leading Democratic voice and figure, someone who won't take sand kicked in their face by Republicans.
However, it's another Californian who may stand in Newsom's way.
The problem is that his political cousin is the vice president of the United States, and that's Kamala Harris from California.
The vice president, whose mother was from Chennai, India, has faced questions about her viability as a candidate on the national stage. Still, her supporters believe that she should be first in line if Biden falters.
You know, listen, she's the vice president. She's a black woman. That's very important in the Democratic Party. It's very important to the Democratic voter base. She's been underestimated most for her life, and she's done very well for herself. And I think she'd still be a very formidable candidate if she was at the top of the ballot.
A dream built on pushing boundaries.
Polls haven't shown that the vice president is weaker than other candidates, like Gavin Newsom, but the situation may change rapidly. However, the challenge from Harris and other leading Democrats like Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer isn't the only issue for Newsom in a potential presidential bid. One of the biggest problems for the California governor is that the state he has led for the past 5 years is currently viewed negatively by many Americans due to issues such as homelessness and crime. However, at 56 years old, more than 2 decades younger than both Joe Biden and Donald Trump, Newsom may be well positioned to energize voters concerned about the ages of the current candidates. Ira Spitzer reporting in San Francisco for DD India.
Kansas' highest court on Friday permanently barred the state from enforcing a law banning the most common second trimester abortion procedure, saying the ban violated the right to abortion under the state constitution that the court had recognized in 2019. The 5-1 ruling from Kansas Supreme Court, with one of the 7 justices not participating, leaves in place a lower court order blocked the law, which banned a procedure known as dilation and extraction, with a narrow exception for medical emergencies. The vote came after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned its landmark Roe v. Wade precedent, which had established a right to abortion nationwide, allowing many Republican-led states to ban or restrict abortion and triggering a wave of litigation. Moving on, Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico appeared in public on Friday for the first time since a May assassination attempt. Fico attended an evening ceremony marking Saints Cyril and Methodist Day, a public holiday in Slovakia. He hit back against progressive and liberal ideologies, backing Hungarian leader Viktor Orbán's visit to Moscow. Fico is recovering after being shot 4 times at close range in mid-May this year.
Vážený pán prezident,
we must all together build a huge dam against the nonsensical, progressive and liberal ideologies that are spreading like a cancer. They are ideologies that are damaging this country. They are ideologies that were created perhaps only the day before yesterday. I do not want Slovakia to be among the countries that make a caricature of Western civilization.
Kenyan President William Ruto announced sweeping spending cuts in budget on Friday. The government has also slashed advisory staff by half and dissolved 47 state corporations. Ruto seeks to plug a $2.7 billion hole in the budget after withdrawing a controversial tax hike that sparked nationwide protests. The cuts outlined by Ruto will reduce government expenditure by $1.4 billion in the current fiscal that started on July 1st. The remaining gap of 169 billion shillings will be covered through increased borrowing, raising Kenya's fiscal deficit to 4.6% of the GDP from a targeted 3.3%. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Venezuela marked the 213th anniversary of its independence with traditional military parade in Caracas on Friday. The occasion had a political twist as the country heads into presidential election on July 28th. Venezuela President Nicolás Maduro said he would remain as the commander-in-chief. The dramatic eruption of Stromboli volcano caught eyes of local residents and tourists. Etna, one of the world's most active volcanoes, has seen intense activity in recent days, lighting up the sky near the city of Catania, while Stromboli off the northern Sicilian coast in Italy has spilled lava into the sea. Hurricane Beryl made landfall on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula after ravaging Jamaica and the Caribbean earlier in the week. It has since been downgraded, with maximum winds slowing down to 65 miles per hour as it heads towards southern Texas and Gulf Coast this weekend. Hurricane Beryl inflicted severe damage across the Caribbean, leaving a trail of destruction and at least 11 fatalities in Jamaica. The storm caused floods, power outages and widespread devastation, leaving many homeless and communities struggling to recover. Cancun International Airport also faced disruptions, with hundreds of flights cancelled due to storm's impact. Recovery efforts are underway, but rebuilding will be challenging for the affected regions. Heading into a short break, still to come on DD India News Hour. Budget session in Indian Parliament to begin on 22nd July. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar visits Kerala, talks about role of youths in nation building. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Our top stories. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and UK counterpart Keir Starmer agree on early conclusion of free trade agreement. Starmer holds first cabinet meeting at 10 Downing Street. Reformist Masoud Pezeshkian elected Iran's president, promises economic revival and pragmatic foreign policy. India-Russia joint venture delivers 35,000 AK-203 assault rifles to Indian Army. Defence facility in Amethi town now fully equipped for large-scale manufacturing of rifles. India's Parliament's budget session is set to begin from July 22nd and will run till August 12th. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju on Saturday announced that India's budget for the financial year 2024-25 will be tabled in Lok Sabha on July 23rd. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in Russia on July 8th and 9th to hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The 22nd India-Russia Annual Summit. It will be Prime Minister Modi's first trip to Russia since Moscow launched its military offensive in Ukraine. The visit also follows Prime Minister Modi's re-election for a third successive term. Prime Minister last visited Russia in 2019 for an economic forum, the far eastern port of Vladivostok. He also travelled to Moscow in 2015. Meanwhile, an India-Russia joint venture that was set up to produce AK-203 assault rifles has completed its first phase with the delivery of 35,000 sets to the Indian Army, and the facility at a North Indian city of Amethi is now fully equipped to produce the rifles in large numbers. The Kalashnikov AK-203 assault rifle is a version of the AK-200 rifle. The AK-203s are manufactured in India in compliance with exclusive Russian technologies on certified equipment. This ensures high product quality and compliance with the stated characteristics. More than 700,000 rifles are to be manufactured in India as part of the joint venture, Indo-Russia Rifles Private Limited, established between the Indian Ordnance Factory Board, Kalashnikov Concern and Rosemont Export, both subsidiaries of Rostec State Corporation. Production in India-based units started last year. Prime Minister Modi had inaugurated the factory in 2019. And DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us live for more updates on the story. Akshay, if you can share with us the details of the working of this joint venture and what makes this rifle AK 203 special.
Well, coming to your first question, Shubhendu, yes, this was a joint venture between India and Russia. Now, from the Russian side, there was Kalashnikov, there was Roman Export as well, and from the Indian side, you had the Munition India Limited, and the other firm that was involved in the joint venture was the Advanced Weapons and Equipment India Limited. Now, both of these Indian companies are public sector undertakings, and from the Russian side, all of these four firms collaborated as far as the production of this highly sophisticated weapon is concerned. Now, the Indian Army has been using the indigenous Insas rifles. It had its own limitations, however, and now with the modern times, the Indian Army required a huge number of advanced weaponry, and so between the Indian government and the Russian government, a deal was finalized in which the Indian firm were given task to collaborate with the Russian firms, and one of the most highly trusted assault rifle in the world, that is from the Kalashnikov series, was selected, and this variant was co-produced and now is being manufactured in India, as you rightly mentioned, in Amethi. So this is in fact a huge boost to Indo-Russian defense joint ventures are concerned, because it's not just in this assault rifle, but we have seen that in past as well, India has been heavily using the Russian equipment, but now the times are changing, and now from direct import of the Russian weapons, we are seeing co-production and co-manufacturing as well, and this is in fact a shining example of that particular joint venture. Second thing, you asked about the efficiency of this gun, as I was talking about the Insas rifle that was built here in India. The AK is sort of much more reliable, much more modern, and can use state-of-the-art technologies. Now there are a lot of equipments that are coming with assault rifles that make the lethality of that weapon even higher, including visions. You have different kind of ammunitions that can be used as far as the operations are concerned. Stealth features can be applied to decrease the sound of these weapons. So there are a range of additions that can be done and to the weapon as far as the operational requirements are concerned. So this is in fact one of the best rifle at this present time anywhere in the world.
Akshay, thank you for those inputs. India's President Draupadi Murmu conferred 10 Kirti Chakras and 26 Shaurya Chakras to the personnel of the armed forces, Central Armed Police Forces and State and Union Territory Police. For the first time in the history of Jammu and Kashmir Police, 5 Shaurya Chakras, India's third highest peacetime gallantry award, were bestowed upon 5 personnel for their courage and bravery while serving the nation. Ministry of Defence had announced this award to these bravehearts on Independence Day of 2023 and Republic Day 2024. One of the recipients was Captain Anshuman Singh, who was awarded Kirti Chakra posthumously. It was an emotional moment for his wife and Veer Nari Smriti. She shared the story of her husband's commitment and dedication towards the nation.
He was very much capable. He would tell me, I'll die with the brass in my chest. Just because I am not going to die an ordinary death like nobody would know.
कैप्टन अंशुमन सिंह ने असाधारण बहादुरी एवं त्याग का परिचय देते हुए देश हित में अपना सर्वोच्च बलिदान दिया। सम्मान ग्रहण करेंगी उनकी धर्मपत्नी श्रीमती स्मृति एवं माता श्रीमती मंजू सिंह।
So we met on the first day of college, and I would not be dramatic, but it was love at first sight. And after a month, he got selected into AFMC. We met in an engineering college, he got selected in a medical college. So super intelligent guy. So from then on, after just 1 month of meeting, it was a long distance relationship for 8 long years. Let's get married now. So we did. And unfortunately, within 2 months of marriage, he got posted into Siachen. On 18th July, we had a long conversation about how our life is going to be the next 50 years. He's going to build a house, we're going to have kids and whatnot. 19th morning, I get up, I get a call. He's no more. What? So for first 7-8 hours, we were not ready to accept that anything of such sort has happened. But 7-8 hours, got confirmed that he's no more. And till date, I'm not coping up. I'm just trying to figure out, maybe it's not true. But now that I've Kirti Chakra in my hand, maybe it's true. But it's okay. He's a hero. So we can manage a little of our lives because he's managed a lot. He's given up all his life, all his families, just to save other 3 families, his army family.
Captain Anshuman Singh, a hero indeed. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar said the future of our country is determined by the youth, and the enthusiasm and commitment of the youth will lead our country towards the vision of a developed nation. Vice President was addressing the 12th graduation ceremony of Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology in Thiruvananthapuram in southern state of Kerala today. He said the country has a good environment for the youth to grow and they can develop their interest and talent in India.
India, friends, has traversed significantly in last decade. And during this decade, there were global challenges, pandemic, economic diving. But Bharat has been a shining star, and there is global recognition, a place, a favorite place for opportunity and destination on a global platform. Recognitions have come from bodies like International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and the like. This creates for you an ecosystem, soothing ecosystem, where you can fully exploit your talent and you can realize your aspirations and dreams.
And addressing the gathering, ISRO chairman and IIST governing body chairman S. Somnath underscored that IIST has made significant role in transforming the ecosystem of Indian space.
Equally proud for us that there are 1,000 plus of alumni of IIST are contributing to the space program in this country. And the percentage of IISTians in ISRO is almost 15%. Never a single institution had this many number of people in an organization. That implies that you are making a mark in the decisions, the designs, the journey that ISRO is going to make in the future.
On to some other stories. The flood situation in the northeast Indian state of Assam has taken a devastating turn due to heavy rains in the state and neighbouring areas. According to Assam State Disaster Mitigation and Management Authority, 3,518 villages across 30 districts of the state are underwater. More than 2.42 million people in the state have been affected and about 63,000 hectares of agricultural land have been flooded. The death toll from the floods has risen to 52. There are currently 47,103 people sheltered in 612 flood camps. A total of 77 wild animals have died, either due to drowning or during treatment from flood water inside Kaziranga National Park. The IMD forecast said that moderate rains likely to occur at most places in the state for the next 5 days. The Amarnath Yatra has been temporarily suspended on both Pahalgam and Baltal routes to the Holy Cave on Saturday due to heavy rainfall. Heavy rain slashed the Holy Cave and nearby areas, leaving the track slippery. The Holy Shrine is located at an altitude of over 12,700 feet above sea level. Some 1 lakh pilgrims have offered prayers at the Holy Shrine since the Yatra officially commenced on June 29th from the twin base camps in the valley. 52-day-long annual Yatra, which will conclude on August 19th. We now turn to other stories making news today. An encounter broke out between security forces and terrorists in India's Jammu and Kashmir on Saturday. The police says that security forces and police were at the scene. The counselling process for the medical entrance exam, National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test NEET Undergraduate 2024 has been deferred until further notice. The centre filed an affidavit with the Supreme Court of India on Friday, arguing against scrapping the entire NEET Undergraduate 2024 examination held on May 5th this year due to absence of proof of any large-scale breach of confidentiality. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the government will set up multi-purpose primary agricultural credit societies in around 200,000 villages panchayats of the country with no cooperative networks within the next 5 years. Shah was addressing the Sahkar Se Samriddhi program held at Mahatma Mandir in Gandhinagar on the occasion of 102nd International Day of Cooperation. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Stern test for England as they take on Switzerland in the Euro quarterfinals later in the day. India's single shuttler Priyanshu Rajawat stuns world number 4 Andre Antonsen to enter semi-finals at Canada Open 2024.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. The Archaeological Survey of India is working in southern Laos to restore a religious complex of Khmer architecture, Wat Pho. This is to showcase the shared culture between the two countries that spread throughout the Southeast Asian region thousands of years ago. The Wat Pho Hindu temple is believed to be some 1,000 years old and listed as UNESCO World Heritage Site. Archaeological Survey of India prepared the first conservation report and the project plan for Wat Pho complex in 2005. It is working since May of 2007 to restore this temple complex.
If we talk about the Angkor Wat temple in Cambodia or the Mai Son in Vietnam, the Archaeological Survey of India has been doing conservation work since years for these temples outside India. We are joined in by senior conservationist Yogesh Ji from the Archaeological Survey of India. How many years it has the conservation work by the Archaeological Survey is going on at this place? What exactly are you guys doing?
Lao periods share a lot of is culturally similar to India. So one such example is Wat Pho temple. In the year 2005, one is a team of Archaeological Survey of India, including archaeologists and conservators. They visited Wat Pho and they studied this complex. So based on their report, it's the Government of India and Government of Lao period make a MOU to restore this Wat Pho temple. So based on that MOU, the first team of ASI team came here in the 2009. So this first phase of MOU is for 10 years from 2007 to 2017. So ASI worked here from 2009 to 2007. And we have, as you can see, we have restored many pediments and these 5 galleries in this southern palace and this northern palace.
With camera person AK, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Laos.
On to sports, Indian captain Shubman Gill won the toss and elected to field against Zimbabwe in the first T20 international match in Harare. 3 players, Abhishek Sharma, Dhruv Jurel and Riyan Parag, have been handed their debut caps. Shubman Gill led the side. He's making keen to make a mark and prove their mettle in alien conditions. The young bunch has shown a lot of promise in the Indian Premier League. All eyes are on the replacement for the big 3, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma and Ravindra Jadeja, as they announced their T20 international retirement after the World Cup triumph in Barbados. And DD India correspondent Narayan Singh joins us live. Narayan, after the super celebrations of the World Cup triumph, what kind of challenge is India up to in Zimbabwe?
Shubhendu, if we take a look, as you mentioned, that the few players are retired from the T20 World Cup, But as the euphoria of the T20 World Cup victory still lingers, a new dawn has been started from India's Gen Next in Zimbabwe. And considering the fact that for both Zimbabwe and for Indian young generation players, it's an important opportunity to show their talent. For India, if you take a look, 3 Indian players made their debut today: Riyan Park, Dhruv Jurel and Abhishek Sharma, and we know what kind of talent they are. If you talk about Abhishek Sharma, the kind of batting along with Travis Head he did in the IPL for the Hyderabad franchisee, we can say that he has redefined the T20 batting. And if you take a look, his batting style, he is very dangerous against spin, and not only in the power play, and beyond that he can hit the sixes and boundary at will. And apart from that, he was at the top of the charts. If you talk about the most number of 6 hit, he is at the top of the chart. So this Indian young side is very brilliant. Riyan Park, he was also very explosive in the IPL stint. He got chance here. Definitely we are hoping that they will show their talent. And if we talk about Zimbabwe, they didn't qualify for the T20 World Cup, so it's an opportunity for them to, we can say that whenever a team is playing against India, there is an influx of money, and this thing is very important for the Zimbabwe because they are struggling with finances. Their players don't have resources, they don't have any infrastructure, and when they will play this series, definitely they will bring a lot of financial stability for the Zimbabwe also. And apart from that, when any country in the world plays with India, definitely they also we can say that catches the eyeballs, right. And definitely they will also we can say through this series can establish themselves as we can say that the profound cricketers. All in all, it's we can say opportunity for both the teams here, considering the fact that Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli and Ravindra Jadeja have retired from the T20 formats. So at least 3 spots are up for grabs, these youngsters.
Right, new age for Indian cricket. Narayan, thank you for those inputs. Switzerland will face England in the Euro 2024 quarterfinals at the Dusseldorf Arena on Saturday. Switzerland's 7 goals at Euro have come from different players. They are not reliant on an individual who can be contained, but spread the workload across the team. Meanwhile, England's happiness at being on what is perceived to be the easier side of the knockout draw at Euro has been tested by Slovakia, but they will find a sterner examination today. Meanwhile, Netherlands prepared for their Euro quarter-final against Turkey later tonight. The Dutch team need to maintain the performance level they showed over Romania in the last 16 at Euro 2024 on Tuesday if they are to claim the title this year. Turkey will be without Merih Demiral after it was confirmed by UEFA an hour after the training session that the defender will be banned for 2 matches following his politically charged wolf celebration. India's informed men's shingle shuttler Priyanshu Rajawat got the better of world number 4 Andre Antonsen of Denmark 21-11, 17-21, 21-19 in the quarterfinals lasting an hour and 19 minutes to enter semi-finals at Canada Open 2024 in Calgary. Earlier he defeated world number 24 Rasmus Gemke of Denmark in round of 32 and world number 33 Takuma Obayashi in last 16. On his way to the semi-finals, Priyanshu will now face Alex Lanier of France for a spot in the finals. In Wimbledon, defending champion Carlos Alcaraz was stretched to limit en route to the Wimbledon 4th round. 21-year-old Alcaraz, bidding for his 4th Grand Slam title, ran into inspired American Frances Tiafoe in a repeat of their thrilling semi-final of 2022 US Open. Alcaraz, who boasted the greater firepower, secured win in 5 sets. World number 1 Jannik Sinner was unruffled as he advanced in the ominous fashion to 4th round. A clinical Sinner ran against Serbia's Miomir Cvijanovic, winning 6-1, 6-4, 6-2. Sinner is in the mood to become the 2nd Italian to win multiple Grand Slam titles. In women's singles, Emma Raducanu, who skipped the French Open to focus on Wimbledon, overpowered Greek 9th seed Maria Sakkari 6-2, 6-3. Raducanu needed a wildcard invite from organisers to even compete at the grass court major, as her ranking has plummeted to 135th after an injury in 2023. Second seed Coco Gauff ended the surprise run of British qualifier Sonek Kartal. The American marched into the fourth round of the Wimbledon with the 6-4, 6-0 victory. Gauff was pushed hard, but once she banked the opening set, the outcome of the match was never in doubt. Several third-round matches were unfinished because of the heavy rains. In a significant move towards e-governance, Hockey India has launched a pioneering initiative that allows players to download their ID cards from the Member Units portal directly. This development positions Hockey India as one of the first sports federation in the country to implement such a digital system akin to Aadhaar card model. The new system offers several key features, including ability for players to obtain their ID cards digitally, a streamlined process from registration to ID card acquisition, and increased accessibility and convenience. So that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan this QR code on your screens to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.
कल उसके बैंक अकाउंट में 15,000 रुपए का फ्रॉड हुआ है, पता है?
इसको तो कोई टेंशन ही नहीं होती है, देखना। टेंशन क्यों? मेरी कोई गलती नहीं थी। फिर भी फ्रॉड होने पर मैंने तुरंत बैंक को इन्फॉर्म कर दिया। आरबीआई कहता है अगर आपके अकाउंट से किसी ने धोखे से पैसे निकाले हैं तो बैंक को जल्द से जल्द इन्फॉर्म कीजिए। 3 दिन के अंदर इन्फॉर्म किया तो कोई नुकसान नहीं होगा। जितना लेट करोगे उतना ज्यादा नुकसान। और सुन, सब चलता नहीं है, प्रॉपर चलाना पड़ता है। आरबीआई कहता है जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
Sikkim is not a destination, it's a journey. Into spirituality, into untouched nature. Into abundance. A lesson in compassion, perseverance, harmony, organic living. A fine example of respecting tradition. While embracing modernity. Welcome to a small state with big treasures.